It is hands down the experience of a lifetime. And it's so cliche to say it, but there's something just so rare about it where you get all these people from different places that have never interacted before. Jenna a lot of times calls me a squirrel because I get easily distracted and something will happen. And the reason I am is because I want this to be the best experience, not just for me, but also for her. I'm lucky that I have Kelsey for that, but I'm really excited we've decided to stay in LA, and I'm excited for us to like...
A few weeks away from the finale.
Crazy.
Did you expect to get this far into the competition?
I was hopeful. I think that truthfully I was really hopeful. I wanted, coming in, my first goal that I had was I wanted to be the farthest that a Bachelor male has ever been. Just because I put a lot of pressure on myself in these things, and I thought I was going to be somewhat good, but I didn't expect it to be how it is right now. I definitely didn't expect everything that's happened so far.
Being part of that long line of past Bachelors, is there a lot of was there pressure being part of that?
I think there's always pressure being part of Bachelor Nation. I think Bachelor Nation in general has done really well, but there was a difference of being a guy. The guys have never really done well. The last
like
guy,
5th, 6th, 7th.
Yeah, they always get close to getting to the finale, but they never had. I think the last guy with Matt James, he was really good, but he didn't make it as far as people expect he was going to. And then I think Joe, who was with Jenna, went really far, but he wasn't the best dancer. He even owns it himself. So I don't think anyone expected a Bachelor guy not only to be good, but to actually be good enough to maybe even go as far as I have. I think a lot of people expected to go far because you're getting the votes, but not because people are actually enjoying watching you dance. I think that's maybe the biggest thing that's been surprising people, but I don't know. I've just been listening to Jenna. She's running everything, and I'm just trying my best to keep up every week.
I mean, as far as enjoying you dance, you shot across. I feel like you really started getting into a groove of everything, like halfway through, maybe even earlier.
Yeah. I mean, the first dance was probably still one of my favorites because it was just such a different energy and it was so fun. And we kind of came in with the mindset, like, we want to shock people. We want people not to expect that you can actually do this. So that was exciting. And then I think it just started to slowly build. As you said, in the middle, it was probably week 3 when we did the jive. I think that was the first one when people were like, oh, he might actually be able to keep going in this and being a top dancer. So again, I take it week by week as much as I can. It's been so fun to see it build, to see Jenna throw more difficult things at me every time. But yeah, it's just she keeps making the choreography tougher and she keeps challenging me, and I'm just trying to push myself every week.
Was there a switch for you where you just started to get more comfortable in that ballroom?
Yeah, I think the first time I noticed a switch was, you know how we have camera blocking and everything. I think it was for the jive. It was either jive or the tango was the first time that I walked into camera blocking or walked into some of our first couple of runs. I was like, wait, I kind of feel comfortable on this dance floor. Like, I'm not as butterfly-esque or thinking too much about my steps. Like, it doesn't feel that different going from the rehearsal studio to this, because there was always levels. First, it was doing your first show and tell in front of another couple. You're like, why am I feeling all this anxiety? I've done this dance a million times. Like, I know how to do this dance.
Who was that first couple?
The first one we did it in front of, I think, was Alona and Alan. They've been our group. Like, we always have the same time as them. We've gotten really close, so we do a lot of show and tells together. And it was for our cha-cha. I remember I was so confident in it. We've done shot wides, done everything, and I was like, I'm feeling really good about this dance. And then she's like, well, it's time for a show and tell, and let's see how you feel. And that first feeling of it was like, I felt like I forgot everything. I think my facial expression felt a little more nervous, and that was the first time I realized there was going to be jitters and all these other feelings. And then you go into the ballroom for the first time, and you do this camera blocking, and you feel the same thing. It's this different level of, wow, this feels really different. I'm not as confident as I was. And that was there for the first 2 or 3 weeks, and there was something in the jive where now I go into that ballroom, and it still happens. I'm not saying it's not there, but I felt a little bit more comfortable, like I can transfer what I've been working on into this whole entire scenario.
It's so interesting the show and tell does bring that level of pressure to it.
I think it's just because it's the first time someone's actually watching you, and they'll make like noises when you do something, and like, you know, they'll be like, you hit this move, and they'll make a reaction. You're like, oh, like people are in this world now. Like, it's not just our world, because there's something, especially with Jenna, we've been so comfortable that A lot of times when I'm committing the steps or doing stuff in the rehearsal studio, it's because I feel comfortable around her and I'm not thinking twice about it.
Right.
But as soon as someone else is watching in, Jenna a lot of times calls me a squirrel because I get easily distracted and something will happen. We were doing a TikTok today and like someone opened the door and I like stopped. She's like, "What are you doing? Like, stay in it." But I get easily distracted and it might just be me in general. But yeah, I just have noticed that sometimes when you add in different factors, it starts to mess with me a little bit.
What was your mindset when you got into the ballroom? Were those factors playing into it where you would get a little distracted?
I think when I get into the ballroom, I obviously just try to listen to Jenna as much as I can. And she likes to think as soon as you get into the ballroom, you start doing camera blocking, it's really time to start thinking about performing. Because a lot of times in the rehearsal studio, we try to perform and you can, but it's the first time we're going to really see what it's going to look like on camera. And she's like, you got to sell the performance. You have to look and feel like it's the same thing as it's going to be on actual live TV, because we need to make sure that when we're looking at this on camera, we know how you're going to look. So then we can make adjustments if we need to, because you will make tweaks in blocking. It just happens. And yeah, that's hard for me. I felt the nerves initially, and also I've realized that for some reason, when the live show starts, I'm just different. Something comes out of me where I'm so much more willing to commit. My facial expressions is a lot more in it and in the moment, because it's hard for me, I think, when it feels like practice. I was the same way in tennis. Like, I never practice as well as I would when I'm in a match. I just was able to feel those moments a little more. And I found that out in dancing too. It's just hard for me to, I guess, simulate that.
Are you feeding off the crowd energy?
No, because to tell you the truth, I've never noticed the crowd once still in one of our dances. It is when we are doing our best, I don't notice anyone but Jenna. I am only focused on where I need to look in the camera per se, or if I'm focused on Jenna. I have not once noticed the crowd except before and after, and it's because I look at Kelsey every time before and after. That's the only time I will look in the crowd. I don't notice anything else. I'm just kind of trying to get in this own little world, and that helps us so much when we're dancing.
Do you and Jenna have any pre-show rituals?
To stay focused. She gave me a rule in the beginning that we'll never watch our package. We'll never pay attention to because sometimes they'll put in stuff that might mess with your head, and you just want to stay focused on each other. So our usual rituals, we'll go through the steps. We'll feel comfortable before we get out on stage. And then whatever we have before a commercial time or before when our package is going on, we're just talking with each other. Like I said, I usually will blow a kiss to Kelsey, and then I will just focus in on Jenna, and we will just kind of go over just being confident, being present, not letting anything distract you. It's just us. And we always have this thing we say too, where like, this is the last time we're going to dance this, so let's enjoy it. We've loved this dance. We've built it. Now let's enjoy what we're about to do, because we're not going to get another chance to do this again. And that kind of helps me stay in it and just focus on it and let whatever happens.
It's so interesting because you guys spend all week, every single day doing this thing, and then you just have to move on to the next.
I still don't love that feeling, because there has been dances we've done where I'm just like, I love dancing this dance. And it does get repetitive when you do it so much, but it is sometimes a sad feeling when you're like, this is the last time we're going to have to do this. And that I would love to keep doing this dance. But then when you get to watch it and get to see what everyone else got to see, that's kind of like redancing it in your head. You get to finally see what you've worked towards and what it looked like in that moment. And it's always so fun to have that feeling.
What's up, guys? Real quick, I just want to say thank you for watching the podcast. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying all the Dancing with the Stars episodes. It's been so cool running through the cast and getting to see how everyone is approaching the competition. So if you've been liking my style, make sure to hit the subscribe on my podcast. I do interviews with everyone across the spectrum, from voice actors, authors, rock stars, reality stars, athletes, world record holders. I try to get everybody, and I try and just get a good mix of people to interview on the podcast. So if you like that kind of stuff, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Electric Bike Company. If you're looking for personalized electric cruisers, they have fully customizable options. Plus, they're doing an early bird Black Friday special, which you can check out on their website. I'm going to be linking it down below. What I love about their bikes is that they stand out with their durability and performance. They're expertly crafted to endure the test of time and terrain. Plus, the best part, they're delivered fully built. There's no assembly required on your end at all. Plus, what sets them apart is that they offer a better battery. They ensure the best quality battery for their e-bikes, which is why they build their own. And another awesome part is that they're made here in the USA. So if you're in the market for a new bike, check out Electric Bike Company. They are the hands down best e-bikes. So thank you guys so much for watching the podcast. Now let's get back to Joey. So at what point do you really lock in on show day as far as memorizing the dance and just getting those movements going?
You know, I have noticed, because you go in different times too. That's a big part. It's like if you're
First
going
and
first,
last.
you're going last, you're going in the middle. That depends on when you really lock in. We've gone first once, and locking in when we go first was honestly before they even call our names. Like I was picturing and thinking of about to do that dance. But then when you go last, like we did for the tango, it was hard. It was probably the most nervous I was for a dance, because I really couldn't lock in until a few moments before. I was trying to stay focused, but you're watching all these other dances and you're in the skybox and you're kind of not able to focus on what you're doing. But I would say usually we lock in about a dance or two before that we're up, because that's when you get the ability to go down and practice and just kind of get your body warmed up. And as soon as we start getting into stretching and warming up our body and going through some of the steps is when you're like, okay, we're about to be out there. We're about to do this.
Let's put ourselves into the position now. So we're a few days away from the 500th episode. How confident are you in the entire routine?
I love where we're at in this routine right now. I think the fact that we're doing contemporary is exciting. It's something obviously we've never done before, but I'm confident that if I had to go do it right now, I could, but there's always little details, like I said. I feel very confident in the routine. I feel very confident in our performance. But until we go to camera blocking and I see it on camera, I will know little adjustments that Jenna will tell me and things I need to make. So I'm confident in the routine, but I'm not ready for it to be show ready until I can actually see what it looks like in camera blocking.
Can you explain what that means a little for camera blocking? Are you watching it back? Like, are they filming that raw so that you can watch it back?
Yeah. So camera blocking set up for the crew. It's set up for them to be able to see your dance on the ballroom for the first time, and they figure out the camera angles, and they're brilliant at what they do. And they're getting all these different angles to try to make your dance be elevated for people watching at home, because it looks so different than what you see in the ballroom. And that's the thing, is we have the entire week been looking at this dance through the visual of what everyone else is. We do a wide and it's just a straight on image, and we don't get these close interactions. You can't really see our facial expressions. You can't see how you're actually moving with each other as well as you do when they capture it on the ballroom floor. So there could be this move that we've been doing the entire week that we feel really strong about from the angle of the wide from so far away. But then as soon as we see it in the camera blocking situation, we're like, you know what, this can actually be sharper. And that's all Jenna, when she looks through it and sees it, we have the ability to look at this and be like, okay, we can maybe make this a little bit better. And she's a genius with that. She just wants all the little details to be great. And that's one of the more fun parts about what comes from camera blocking and show day, is there are little moments that you'll change just to make it look the best it possibly can.
Oh. Jenna has said that you are like, I forget the exact wording, but you are a once in a lifetime partner, because you're just so present and attentive and you're so focused. Do you go home after each rehearsal and still study those moves and work on it?
As I said, we take wides throughout the week. We'll be able to film it on our own cameras just to be able to see where we're at in the progress. What I do a lot is I will go home, and I have, Kelsey knows I call it my decompress time, where I just need like a few minutes because I just got out of practice and I just need to like chill for a second and think through everything we went through today. I'll usually will look at sometimes the wides at that point, at that moment, and the other time I'll do it is when I'm going to bed. Sometimes when I'm like usually scrolling through my phone, I'll just pull up the dance and I'll look through it, and I'll just kind of look at little moments. And I think what Jenna usually sees is I'll come back the next day and be like, I've been looking at tape. I got some notes. I want to know what I'm doing wrong here, because we don't look the same and I know I'm messing up. And I think it bugs her sometimes because I am so... I have the issue of being a perfectionist, but I think she loves the fact that I am so in it. And the reason I am is because I want this to be the best experience, not just for me, but also for her. Like, I don't think people understand how much time and energy these pros put in. And if I'm not giving that energy and more back to her, then I'm doing her, no justice in what she's doing. Like, she is putting so much of her time and energy, and I want this to be the best experience it can for her as much as I can for me, and that comes from both of us putting as much effort as we can into it.
If you can bring her a mirror ball, whew.
I know she would love me for that. And again, we've all already kind of understood, especially every week with judges' scores, with the public opinion, like, we can't control any of that. I don't know how many votes we're getting right now. I just know that I want to, every single time that we leave a dance floor, be like, we gave that the best shot we did. We put as much energy and effort as we could. And if it all works out that it ends up being us as the champions at the end, that's amazing. But we have to always catch ourselves that we can't control that. All we can control is putting out the best dances we can, having people see how much effort we're putting in, and hopefully falling in love with our dances and voting for them. But we can't control that. And that's the crazy part about this whole entire competition.
Can you talk about Jenna as a choreographer, and was there a switch in the season where she started to get a little more strict and focused because she saw how much potential you really had?
Yeah, I think it happened probably right around the jive in week 3 or the tango.
Is that when you became Joseph?
Yeah, that's when Joseph came out a few times. Something did switch. I think the first 2 weeks it was really about trying to see what I could do. And then I think she saw there was potential. And then she's like, I'm going to start pushing you. She said it, I think it was between week 2 and week 3. She's like, you just be aware I'm going to start pushing you. And the choreography got a little bit more intense. If there was a move I didn't get right away, initially, she would maybe change the choreography. And it just turned into, if you're not getting this, that means we're going to drill it until you do get it. And she still will change stuff. She's the best at finding out things that look good on my body. I think that is something that she doesn't get enough credit for because you can't see the process. But she will have a routine and she'll bring it to me and it just won't work. Like, I can't understand this move, or I can't do it as well as she would like. And then she has 3 other ready to go that she'll just change to because she wants it to look good on my body and so that we look good together. And that's an art in its own right, to not only be able to see why it's not working or know when to give up on it, but then have something else that's ready to go so that it can just flow into the routine. And it's amazing how she does it sometimes. But yeah, I would say the seriousness started right around we started getting close to getting 9. She's like, oh, we're going to start pushing you. And I love it. I wouldn't change a thing. It makes it less of, I think, the giggly fun all the time because we are working hard, but we all still find those moments to just enjoy this because it is, at the end of the day, you got to remind yourself we're doing something that I am not that good at. I am just figuring out how to do it every week, and you got to have fun with that.
With you figuring it out how to do it every week, what kind of student are you? Let's say the song is a minute and a half. Mm-hmm. How do you learn the song and the process?
We have done a lot of times breaking it up into chunks. It will be either 2 or 3 depending on, but she'll take care of like a big section and we'll focus on that. And the usual routine is we will do it without music initially just so I can get confident in my footwork and my positioning, but she knows I don't really thrive until I start listening to music and doing the dance. I'm not really good at counts. I'm not really good at trying to think of each step, but you have to start with that because you have to learn how to do it correctly. And then after we kind of get those chunks without music, we'll start to do those chunks with music. And as soon as we're like, okay, you got chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, you will now work on the transitions. And that's the hardest part, is you feel so good about this chunk 1, but you've never worked on connecting it to chunk 2. And to make that flow and so like it look like a dance can sometimes be really hard. So yeah, there's levels. It's first doing it without music in little series. Then it's doing those series with music. And then after you know how to do those series with music, it's working on transitions and how you make chunk 1, chunk 2, and chunk 3 look like it's been chunk 1 all together the entire time. And that just takes time. That's usually our process. And I would say Friday or Saturday is usually where we kind of get those transitions in order, where we can start running the whole routine really well.
There's so much that goes into it. How do you brain rot and unwind when you finish?
It's hard. It stays in your brain a lot. I'm lucky that I have Kelsey for that, because I want her, when I am home, I want her to feel like I am present, and I love talking about dancing, but then I want to hear about her day, and I want us to be able to, watch a TV show, and I can just kind of sink into enjoying being around her. If I was by myself right now and didn't have someone else, I think I probably would have gone crazy with how I am, because I probably would have never stopped thinking of dancing, would never have gone out and hung out with friends. I would probably have just become obsessive with this. But that's one of the things I love about Kelsey, is she brings out a little bit more of an outgoing side. She pushes me to not always be such a homebody, and that helps to release and get out of it. Because if it was just me, I think I would have been obsessive and it would have been bad.
What shows are you guys watching together?
We've been doing a little bit of everything. We just got the one with Kristen Bell and Adam Brody.
Nobody Wants Us?
Nobody Wants Us.
So good.
Unbelievable. Probably one of my favorite shows I've watched in a really long time. The other one with Nicole Kidman what is the name of that one? It's
On the beach.
The one on the beach where there's the murder and everything
yes.
and figuring it out. I forget the name of all these. I just know the actors and I can like explain what it is.
That was a good one.
And then we watched the brothers one, the Mendez brothers one. We had to watch that one.
Literally my past viewing schedule.
And we asked people, we're like, Joey is tired. We're not going to go out a lot. We got to watch shows. So we asked my sister, we asked a lot of friends, like, what are the shows we need to watch? And those were our last 3, and we binged them hard. So we need new ones. But
Can I give you a show rec?
Please, I would love one.
On Hulu, Tell Me Lies.
Okay, I have heard that one too.
Phenomenal
Right.
writing.
I'm going to be honest, we are probably going to start that one tonight.
It's so good.
Yeah, we love when we get in a show together. She gets so invested, which I love too. It's so funny to talk to her about shows because she like feels like she's in them. But yeah, it's been nice because we honestly have not been able to do this. When we got off of the show, we started traveling so much and doing so many crazy things. We didn't get a lot of like downtime and have a place that felt like ourselves because we were living with all of our roommates and we would a lot of times do stuff with them. But it's the first time we come to a place that's just us. It's kind of like I get off of work is the feeling right now. And she's been doing stuff all day with her own work. And then we just have these real relationship moments. And I have loved it. She has definitely synced into a little bit more of a chill homebody because of me. And then she'll pull me out and we'll go grab dinner with friends and do some other stuff whenever we get the chance. So it's been a good mix so far.
Have you guys anticipated what life would be like after the show?
We just talked about it last night. We grabbed dinner and we were talking about like, what are you most excited for after the show? And we had different answers. I'm excited to take this like version of a routine that I've created with dancing and then build it into my own. I'm excited to see what's going to possibly next for me and what's the next venture I want to do. But I'm really excited we've decided to stay in LA and I'm excited for us to like build a home together. We got an apartment and like I cannot wait to make it feel like something that's really ours because the way that dancing set us up is amazing, but it's a small temporary place. This is going to be the first time we have a place that's ours. So I'm thinking of those little things right now that I'm so excited for. And it's going to be great. I'm just excited about our next chapter because this is one we've been waiting for a little bit.
So base camp will be LA.
We are, yeah. We've been going back and forth for a bit, but we kind of knew when dancing came around that we were going to get a real taste if we liked LA. I think I was more interested in LA than New York, and she was probably more interested in New York than LA, but realized that she would probably still be happy here. And I don't know if I would have been able to find the things I love to do as much in New York because, I mean, when you live in Hawaii, the closest lifestyle you can get in the U.S. might be Los Angeles or somewhere in California because it's really hard to be able to play tennis, golf, and surf and do all these activities I love anywhere else. So we said, why don't we do this? Because we wanted to be in a place where there's more going on, which is L.A. or New York. And we know that flight's close, and I promised her we're going to spend as much time as we can in New York for her too.
And you also mentioned that you had ideas of content creation after this, which would be focused on tennis and golf. Is that something that you've always wanted to do?
I was always really interested on the tennis side of how to do content creation because it's a new world we live in now. And I love teaching tennis. It's something that I will find a way to do it in some light through the rest of my life, whether that's helping out at a local school and teaching the high school team like my uncle does now, teaching part-time at a local club, or maybe it's doing something on social media. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like with tennis, it makes so much sense to try to have it go to a bigger audience because you can work that into what you've been doing and something I spent so much time building that skill. And then with golf, there just turned out to be this craze during COVID where not only did everyone start loving to play golf, but then these content creators in golf just kind of took off. And I got a really cool opportunity to go play with Garrett Clark and go on his channel. And I saw how he did things in Texas and he just has it figured out. And now that's the top. Like it would take a while to get to be in that type of channel. But when I saw how he did it, I'm like, there's a way to do this. I just don't know how that translates with my audience or how I would do that per se, but I'm open to it. There's a lot of ideas kind of going through my head on what's going to be next for me because I kind of saw this trajectory from The Bachelor that there was a chance I would do this show. And then I'm like, okay, then it's going to be open. Like, what do I do? And I don't know yet. I'm holding a couple of those cards close to me because I think there's some things I really want to do, but I'm going to wait to kind of make that public because I'm going to work and kind of build towards that, I think, through this time.
Have you ever played padel?
I want to so bad. I've heard amazing things about it.
You haven't played yet?
No.
It's fun.
I know. I heard it's a lot of fun, and I heard they have some great places here in LA to do it too.
Are you a pickleball guy too?
I started teaching pickleball almost as much as I was teaching tennis when I was in Hawaii at the end, because it just took over. So I really only taught beginners a lot, but I got to the point I could play some pretty solid pickleball. I was playing at like a 4-5, 5-0 level in pickle, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Would you ever do a show like Special Forces?
I would, just to test myself. I think that there's been a couple Bachelor people that have done it.
Did you ever talk to Nick Viall about it?
I did a little bit. And I talked to Danny about it too, because he did it with Dwight. And they talked about us in the beginning when we met initially before GMA. They were just talking about that's how they knew each other. And they shared some stories about that show. And I don't know. I think no one goes into that being like, this is going to be awesome, because it's such a mental test. But I love that kind of stuff. It's one of the things I've loved about dancing is all these people are so uncomfortable, and they're doing something outside of their comfort zone and testing not only their physical ability, but their mental ability to go and perform. And this would be a completely different way to do it, but it would still be a way of testing yourself. And I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks I would crumble. There's a part of me that thinks that I would thrive in a situation like that. But that's the whole beauty of it, is why not try to do something like that to see how you would actually be.
I love that show.
I've watched a few of the episodes. I've never watched a full season. I talked about it with JoJo too, JoJo Siwa. I'm like, I know a lot of people that have done it now, and they've all said great things. But yeah, maybe that's something that comes down the line too. I'm open to a lot of those opportunities in the future.
Back to dancing.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of conversations did you and Jenna have in the beginning to prepare yourself for the show?
I think that she just wanted to get as much information in me as possible. And that wasn't just about dancing. It was also understanding like how it's going to feel when you get there, trying to like picture in your head what it's going to be like on a show day, what camera blocking is going to feel like. She did a really good job of just giving me as much information as possible, but she was honest too. She's like, I don't know how you're going to react when we get out there. And she told me some of her partners, thrived in it, and other partners really struggled. So it was interesting to kind of talk through that with her and see what it was going to be like.
Did coming from The Bachelor and Bachelorette with all the cameras always being filmed, did that kind of already prepare you for it? If you need to check that, you can.
No, I just want to make sure it's not buzzing too much. That's all. No, we're good. Yeah, so I think the difference of The Bachelor was that it's different, because when you're on The Bachelor, you start to do a really good job of ignoring the cameras. And I think that still happens with dancing. They're just kind of there. But when you really get in the whole swing of things in The Bachelor, you start focusing on the person you're talking to, and they just kind of bleed away. But it's hard to ignore cameras when you're in a live TV aspect. And the only thing I've done on The Bachelor that felt similar to that was doing the live shows like the Tell All or the finale of the After the Final Rose and all those different episodes. There's a different gut feeling you have where you're like, okay, like this is live. Whatever I say, whatever I do, there's no way to kind of see what it's going to be later on. Like it's just real time. So I think the biggest difference was the only thing I could feel like what dancing feels like was when we did the live shows of The Bachelor. And then same thing, like when you start doing everything of the show, the cameras start to disappear, just like when you're in the dance studio and they're just there. Like I'm never focusing on the camera crew. I know all of them and I say hi to them, and we always have like conversations during breaks. But when I'm dancing with Jenna and we're practicing, there's no way I can even focus on what's going on with those guys. But then when you're on the live show, the cameras, you feel them. You just do it. I don't know how to get rid of that feeling, because there's something about it being live.
Have you ever passed Bachelor Mansion?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly where that spot is. I've passed it a few times.
What kind of memories come back when you were driving by it?
It's always weird. It's sometimes, I think the Bachelor Mansion memories are a lot more strong from when I was a contestant, because you spent some time there. When you would leave there, you'd leave in like a shuttle with the other guys. And there was just something about that feeling of Bachelor Mansion that was really strong when you were there. When you're a lead and you come into the Bachelor Mansion, it's always for little moments. Like if you think about it, I only really did it for cocktail parties. I only did it for if there was a barbecue like we did have. And I only did it really for the rose ceremonies. And that was it. And then the first night you're in it for a really long time. But the first night is chaos. But then as a lead, you didn't really have as many moments in Bachelor Mansion. But then as a contestant, like the flashbacks I feel are just, memories with the guys and just having so much time there. And it was really beautiful when we were there, because California got a lot of rain. So we had like these awesome views of the hills and there was grass on them. And I just remember it being like, this is a crazy experience, how we're just in this mansion on this TV show. I've never saw my life coming to this point. And then now it's just like, okay, that was a time of my life. That's how I met my fiance. That's crazy.
Did you ever expect being a contestant to lead to all these other things happening?
No. When I went in, the first thing I said, I didn't think about anything other than this is going to be something that I probably regret if I didn't do it. And I remember when the opportunity came around, I said, it's going to be a great way for me to put myself out there to the world. I doubt it's going to work out with the girl that I'm going on the show with right now. The chances of that are unlikely, but at least I'll put out there to the world that I'm a guy that is looking for someone and trying to be ready to meet and be in a serious relationship. So if I put that out there, whatever else comes is just going to be amazing. I didn't worry about if something went wrong on the show or any of that. I just thought it was going to be a great opportunity to put myself out there.
Right. So then when the opportunity for dancing came around, was that just another thing to put yourself out there, like in a new aspect?
Yeah, dancing was interesting because there was a lot of things I had to think through before I did it. One was timing, because you never know if it was going to work out and what you had planned going forward. And Kelsey and I were still figuring out exactly where we're going to live. And I think the hardest part of dancing is we put that on pause. I knew that I couldn't focus on locking in a place with her until I knew what Dancing with the Stars was going to be like, because I was like, this is going to be a great way for us to check out LA. So like, why don't we just wait to move into a place right away? So that was hard with dancing. And then the other thing I had to think about was just how it was going to affect our relationship, because I was putting so much time into this and we were going to have this kind of pause where we weren't able to keep building and doing stuff that we wanted to do. So it looked like it was another opportunity, but I had to think through that one a lot more because it wasn't a decision just for me. The easy thing about The Bachelor was that was a decision for me. I was like, okay, I'm okay with leaving my life in Hawaii, moving to Pennsylvania with my sister, and being like, I have this base, and no matter what happens on The Bachelor, at least I know I'm here and I can figure it out after. But that's a decision you make on your own. Dancing was not a decision by myself. I had the best supporter in the world, but that wasn't a decision that was for me. That was a decision for us, and I had to really think through that before I was like, yeah, let's do this.
Did going back to Hawaii with Kelsey ever come up on the table?
Yeah, I was always kind of in the mindset that Hawaii was something that would come later down the road for us if it ever did. I never thought Kauai.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a low-key island. And
I've been there. It's beautiful.
I love it. Again, lifestyle-wise, I don't think I could find a better place that I would enjoy living at, because it just has everything that I love to do. And that came from living there. But yeah, I knew that if Hawaii was something in our future, it would have been something when we had kids and we were like, you know what, this could be a great adventure for them. And I always thought it would be something that we would do temporarily, because after living in Kauai, I got a lot of friends that love it there. But the people that seem to have a really good feel on that island are the ones that come for sections at a time, where they have their life that they have on the mainland, where they have a lot more going on and they can see their friends and family, but then they come for little sections and they get to feel this experience. And I love that idea of maybe there's a way I can do both sometime in the future. I am so excited that we are choosing to live in LA, because then I could go and see my friends and do little trips to Kauai, because coming from the East Coast is almost impossible. You got to do a 10-day trip. But yeah, I would love living there again. I just don't know how that would fit in what we want to do just quite yet. And that would be something that would have to be down the road.
What kind of LA things do you and Kelsey do here now?
We haven't been able to do as much as we would like to do. That's one thing, is I wish that we had more opportunity to experience LA, but the easy answer is we just eat. The food here is unbelievable. We love trying new restaurants. We have started to try to look into like where we can go on hikes and just get outside more, because we love the weather. I've started to find a couple of the golf connections, which I would love to get her into golfing a little more, because she's interested in it. So a little bit of that. I think we're just going to try to do a lot of those things of going out with friends and trying new places, but then finding ways to be more active outside. I'd love to do with her too, but we haven't. The schedule's so hard, it's just not easy to try to explore. So that's one of the things we're looking forward to after dancing.
Have you been to Felix?
I have not.
Or Osby?
I have not. See, this is what I love. It's like I've been to so many great places, but I know there's a million I haven't been to. So you got to text me all these, because I need to eat my way through this town. I'm going to try my best.
So good.
Oh, I love it.
So good. When you first saw Ilona and Dwight and Danny, what did you think that you were going up against these Olympic athletes into the competition?
Yeah, we have, and you have Steven too, right? There's so many athletes that they have this season, which I thought was really cool. I guess the first thing I knew when I met them, they were all great initially, but I knew that they had this this mindset of being an athlete, that they could go out there and it's not a perform, but they could come game time really lock in, because they have to do that. I don't know how you do what Steven does if you don't have the ability to lock in, because that's crazy. Same thing with Alona, with all these women running at her. Like, you have to stay so focused. And I actually came from Dwight and Danny on the first night. I was up there with them right before they first called our names. And it was crazy. I thought I was about to run out of a tunnel in a football game or about to run on the court for a basketball game. Those two were hyping each other up. They were like in the zone, stretching, being like, let's go, let's have the best time. And it was one of the more jacked up I've ever been in my life. I was like, I love this. Like, I'm feeding off this energy before we get out there. And all they're saying is, here's Joey Graziadei from The Bachelor. But I was getting so fired up, and it was honestly perfect for me. I don't even know if I told them thank you, because we were the first up that night. So it wasn't just like I went and heard my name and then I got to wait a little bit. Them jacking each other up got me a little jacked up. And then I walked down. I'm like, I'm about to dance my ass off. Let's go. Like, I'm ready. And it was so cool that I saw they bring that as athletes. Is I don't think any of those four, when it comes game time, they're not locked in and ready to go, because they just have done that for so long on a bigger stage.
I mean, Dwight's presence is insane.
He's going to bring it every time. He's going to be there. He's going to be having fun. Even as you've seen, if he forgets a step, he's never going to lose his energy, because I think it just comes with, being a professional athlete. He's got to bring his energy on the basketball court every single night, and it translates easy for those guys.
Have you ever misstepped and thought that the judges saw it, but they did not say anything?
Oh, you're going to expose me here.
What week, what moment?
Yeah, there was one, and it was small, but we looked back on it, and Jenna and I both laughed. It was during our jive, during Soul Train night. There was a few moments that we worked on a lot, and it was less of a step and more of like, I didn't point my toe as well as I practiced, or when I did a sachet, I didn't like actually hit it the right amount of time. Just got a little cluttered with my footwork. But that night we were just performing so hard and having so much fun that I'm sure the judges saw it, but it didn't seem like it was something I was needing to say, because I think we brought so much energy in that dance. But yeah, almost every week it's hard to do everything perfect. It's just, there's something that you can kind of misstep or mess up. But I think the one that was the most, when we watch, you're like, yeah, you could have done better. We worked a lot on this technique and you messed up a little bit here, was probably the jive.
What is it that makes that misstep? There's just so many things going on in your head, or you lost balance?
No, I think it's because I'm thinking so much of having fun and performing, because I know that if I'm having fun during the dance, the judges will, the crowd will. That if you have some messes in your technique, like you just don't have maybe it so perfect, when I'm focused so much on having fun, I might just miss a couple of steps. It's a really hard thing of, you don't want to think and be in your head about every step, because if you do, you're going to make mistakes. But then if you're just having so much fun and worry about performing and you're not actually thinking of your steps, then you're also going to make mistakes. There's this perfect balance that I try to find every week, where you are focused but you're not overthinking it. And it's really hard to find, but I found it in some of those dances. And when you feel that level, it's like you can perform and have the most fun and know that you're going to hit every step you need to hit.
And you make it look so easy, and Jenna makes it look so easy. It's crazy.
Again, I credit her, because it is nothing I am doing. She's given me all the confidence in the world to do that, and we have practiced so much, and she's done such a good job putting a choreography that's going to look good on me, that it makes it look easy, because it's hard. And I love that. I think that's one of the best compliments I've gotten through this, of people saying you make it look so effortless, because I am putting a lot of effort in. I think people forget I am not a dancer. If you maybe do a TikTok dance right now, or just freestyle something, you'd be like, this guy doesn't have an actual beat in his body. But she's so good at what she does that she sets me up for success, and I'm grateful for it.
Do you notice a big difference in your body change from all the rehearsals and workout that you're doing?
I definitely got a little too thin quickly. it's been nice, actually. It's been funny. It's transformed even more these last few weeks because initially you're doing steps like the jive. I mean, we lost so much weight during that week because we were just kicking and flicking and doing so much. Same thing in the samba. You have to move so much in those dances that I like, Kelsey's the one that tells me, she's like, you're looking pretty thin. Like, I'm definitely getting cut, but like I'm losing a lot of weight. And, my size 32 pants, like I need a 30 all of a sudden, it feels like, because I'm having to buckle it up so tight. But then these last few weeks with the Argentine Tango and Contemporary, we're doing a lot of lifts, and that's actually the most I've probably built muscle with these last few weeks because I'm actually holding up Jenna and having to do a lot of reps, and it feels like the only thing I can compare it to is like I just worked out like an upper body workout every single time we do those lifts because there's a lot of legs and upper body you have to do to kind of be strong during that. The transformation of your body through dancing is wild though. Like if I could do this every day, I would, because I would never be out of shape, and it's amazing.
Contemporary is a little slower dance, correct?
It's always different. I would say it's not necessarily slower. It's more of a flow. Like you don't have to, you have moments where you travel quickly, but then you have to sit in these like soft moments and you have to flow with the music. It's usually a lot of a slower song, but I wouldn't say it's like a slow dance. It's just a little bit, it's got really exciting moments and it's got slower moments, and it just depends on the song. You got to flow with the song.
Letting it breathe.
Yeah, like feeling the music.
And that lets a lot of room for error because you're not just...
It's not about necessarily technique. It's about holding these moments and flowing and moving to the music. But that is technique, because if you don't move at the right time and you're off beat, they're like, that looks wrong. And if you obviously aren't pointing your toes in some sections, or if you're not looking strong when you need to look strong. But I think the reason why a lot of the celebrities and even the pros have liked Contemporary a lot is there's less rules. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It's just there in all these other ballroom dances or Latin dances, you have really strict rules, but when you do jazz and Contemporary, it's more open to the interpretation of art, I would say.
And is Jenna explaining these rules to you of dance?
Yeah, I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I didn't know anything before I talked to Jenna. So again, I might even be saying this wrong. I'm saying it confidently, but I could be 100% wrong with what I'm saying. I'm just trying to repeat what Jenna's told me. And I've tried my best to be a sponge about it because it's so fascinating to me. Like, it's fascinating to know how you can't do a lift in this dance, but you can do a lift in this other, and to understand what's most important in a tango and what's most important in a jive. What technique do you have to really make sure you hit, because that's what the judges are looking for. I only know this because Jenna's telling me, and I'm asking probably 10 too many questions because I'm just so fascinated by all of it.
I love the judges. When you get to Bruno, are you just like anticipating chaos and beauty and like the most extravagant response?
I mean, they all bring their own thing, and I love Bruno. Bruno has been a huge supporter of us, I feel like, through this too. He's been a fan, and he loves a lot of the musicality and things we do, but I just get so excited to see what this dance did to him and what big reaction he's going to bring. But the judges have been amazing to me this season. They've been, I think, doing such a good job of showing a mix of giving positive feedback, but also trying to give me little critiques and things I need to work on, and I've been trying to take it to heart and do the best I can with it.
And I love your approach to it, because if you get something negative, you're like, I want this so I can figure out how to tweak it.
We had a stretch. I think it started with the jive. The jive, they only gave positive feedback. The tango, they only gave positive feedback, and same thing with the waltz. So we had 3 in a row where I got nothing other than positives, and I'm like, this is awesome. But I was so excited when we got into Disney Night in the Samba, and they actually like gave me some critique, because I was like, I need this. Like, I want to be able to know. I think it was actually on the Viennese waltz too. Carrie Ann said I looked like I fumbled on some of my steps, and I was like, great. Like, Jenna, let's make sure this next week I want you to tell me if I'm starting to like be a little bit lazy in some of the smaller steps, because that's something she's looking for, because you just always want to know what's it going to take to get the best I can out of these dances and have you feel like you gave everything you could, because I just want to leave this with no regrets and know that I tried to do the best job that I could.
I think you are.
I'm doing everything I can. I love dancing.
Halloween night.
Yeah.
Makeup incredible, dance incredible, music incredible, choreography incredible. How did you feel finishing that up?
It was crazy, right? I was putting so much pressure on me for Halloween night because Jenna was amazing. She put the best choreography out there. She had this amazing idea and story with the ventriloquist and the doll, and like everything she put in the Halloween. I was like, I have to do this justice for Jenna. Like, she did so much that makes this an amazing opportunity. And I love the Argentine tango. It was so hard. We had so many moments where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get this dance. But I don't know. On that night, I still felt like we left some out there. And I think Jenna would say the same. We were so happy because we didn't make a mistake. And that's the first thing you want to take from a dance is like, did you make a mistake? Did you actually like do something that was wrong in the dance? And we didn't. We did everything we possibly could. But I know I could have been stronger in some of those lifts. I knew I could have snapped a couple of those moments bigger. I could have looked stronger in my base. I felt really happy with how I sold the character and sold the story, which is the only thing I think I can fully control. But yeah, you know, you look back on a dance, you're like, did we smash that as well as we had? No, we had some other passes we did in practice that were better. And you want that last one to be your best one. And I would say it actually has been for a lot of our dances. Like, I know for our tango for a fact, that tango we did was hands down the best run we ever did was on that show. And that was awesome. But sometimes you do leave it and you're like, yeah, we could have done better, but we're just stoked that we did the best we could. And there hasn't been one we've been, you know, not happy about.
Have you ever heard of post-concert depression?
I haven't.
Okay, so it's like when you leave a concert that you love, you're obviously singing the songs, and then like you kind of start getting sad, like it's over. Do you feel any of that after the performance where you're on such a high, but then that come down is just like slowly going?
It's always interesting because it's a mix of different feelings. You get so excited when you do the best you can, you smash the routine, and you get to watch it for the first time. You get to see everyone's reactions, and you have this high. And as soon as you leave press, your mind reminds you like, oh, we're starting all over. That's the last time we're going to dance this dance. And I told you that earlier, like sometimes we don't want to stop dancing that dance because we loved it so much. But there is this come down that you have where you're like, okay, like got to go back to the drawing board. I'm about to learn a whole new dance this next week. It's going to feel terrible on my body. And you just got to try to do it all over again. It's going to feel terrible. Wednesdays are the hardest because you're tired from Tuesday. You come in, you know we're about to learn this new dance it's just not going to feel good. If they could really see, I mean, you get glimpses of it, but if you could really see what I look like on a Wednesday, you would be like, there's no way this guy's going to figure it out by Tuesday. There's no chance.
Did anyone else on your cast watch your season of The Bachelor?
I actually have not asked that question. I don't know who has or who hasn't. I love meeting people that have watched the show because it's always something you can connect over. But I also love the opposite. I love when someone just gets to know me as Joey and not as Joey the Bachelor. So I never ask the question. Usually they'll tell me, like Jenna told me she never watched my season. And I think she just watched the first episode, which I think is hysterical because she watched as soon as she met me. She's like, I got to watch the first episode at least. But I don't know, actually. I don't know who has watched it. And I try my best just to be the same guy that you would have seen on The Bachelor. So I hope if they did, they enjoyed it. And I hope that if they didn't, they just have enjoyed get to know me as me outside of it.
Did it feel like you brought a lot of Bachelor Nation to Dancing with the Stars?
I don't know. I would hope. I think Bachelor Nation has always been a big fan of Dancing with the Stars. I think the audiences have been very similar, which is why a lot of Bachelor Nation people have done well on the show because they're both ABC, they're both primetime shows, and one of the bigger ones that have been around for a while. But I do think that Kelsey and I have realized, because we get it a lot when we talk to people, that people have said this is the first time I've ever watched The Bachelor was your season. I think there was a surge that came. Maybe it was from socials because the girls were so good online, or if it was just something that came with my season, there was a new audience that came with it. And if they were really a fan of me, I would hope they would still be watching Dancing with the Stars. And maybe that's the first time they've watched that too. Because if there was the first time I watched The Bachelor, maybe it's the first time they've watched Dancing with the Stars. But I don't know. I've had people come up saying this is the first time I watched Dancing, and I've had people being like, I watched it for years and I love seeing you on it. So I think there's a mix of both of them.
This is my first time watching Dancing and it's so fun.
It's amazing. And you've done a great job getting all of them in here and getting to ask all the questions, which is great. It is hands down the experience of a lifetime. And it's so cliche to say it, but there's something just so rare about it where you get all these people from different places that have never interacted before, but they're on the same playing field of trying to do something that's so uncomfortable. And the show just does such a great job at bringing everyone together and bringing the best out of them while still making it a fun experience. And it's crazy. I'm having the time of my life right now doing it.
And all the pros have such a unique story of where they came from, bringing their expertise to the show too.
They have this amazing combination of individuality of how they become the person they are, but this connection of how they've known each other since they've been kids a lot of times too, because these circles aren't that big. And I've asked so many questions about that. Why is Utah getting all these amazing dancers? And then you have someone like Val who comes from New York, and then you have someone like Alan who comes from California. And it's crazy how they've all, come together, and now they've been doing this for so long together, and they're a family in their own right. And even how you'll see, like, you can't see it, I wish people could, but how they interact with the producers and the crew, like, it is a big family there, and it is so fun to be a part of that and to be welcomed into it.
Are there any other shows that you'd want to be part of? Not even saying like right after this, but just in general, other reality shows?
Nothing that like comes extremely to mind. Like you said, Special Forces is one that gets brought up to me sometimes, and I'm like, I would be so open to that. Same thing with Traders was another one.
People say Traders a lot.
I think what it is there is a usual funnel of people that come from Bachelor Nation, and people have paved the way and they've done these other shows, right? So when you hear that, those are the first that come to your brain. But I've never been a big reality TV guy, so I don't know a lot about all these different TV shows, especially these competition shows. I think the only one I knew a lot about when I was growing up was Survivor. Was another one my mom watched, and I've had a resurgence because one of my buddies loves it and I've watched it a lot. And that would be another crazy one to challenge yourself and to see how you would do. But I don't think anyone from Bachelor Nation has tried even doing that. I don't even know if that's a world, because there's the difference of these different networks. But right now I have stayed under the ABC umbrella. I have loved doing Bachelor. I have loved doing Dance with the Stars. And I said it after The Bachelor when people said, would you do Dance with the Stars? I was like, I got to make it through one reality TV show first, and then I'll think about the next one. And that's my same answer now. I'm still in the mix of a reality TV show, and until I get done with this one, I can't even put my brain on what would be next. But I have been someone that's always been open and excited about new opportunities when they come.
I can cut this part out if you don't want to talk about it.
No, you're good.
What does your team look like now? Do you have management, agents, like
I'm
PR?
still figuring out a lot of that. I've worked with someone I know that's on the social media side, and he's helped me a lot with getting everything set up of learning this world of social media. But in terms of building a full team, no one preps you for this stuff, man. Because I was living in Hawaii and I had 1,000 followers on Instagram, and then within a few months you get to this, huge following, and you're like, there are opportunities with this, but I don't know exactly what I want to do with it yet. Kind of like I was talking about earlier, I'm in the process of figuring that out, and I think dancing has given me another opportunity to really be like, okay, what do I want to do with this? Because I want to have purpose with it. I want it to be something that feels like it actually is me. I don't want to be that person that's just, going and throwing out a bunch of content on Instagram without any thought behind it. Like, I want to try to build something that makes sense to me, but I don't know what that is yet. And there's excitement in that, but there's also craziness. Like, what am I actually going to be doing? Because my full-time job over these last year and a half, 2 years has been reality TV. It's crazy that the last time I've worked a full-time job was when I was in Hawaii, and that was before of August of last year. I left that job at the end of July. It's because I started getting prepped for Bachelor stuff in August of 2023.
Crazy.
So the fact that I haven't worked a 9 to 5 or had a normal job since then, to me still makes no sense. But it's been working out, and I've just been open and trying to have fun with this.
Do your old clients ever reach out to you?
Oh, I've got so many great people from that I've taught tennis to, people I've worked with in all different places. Because I've lived in Nashville for a bit. I lived in Hawaii. I've worked a real desk job and sales job in Nashville. I've worked a very interesting job in Hawaii where I was working in not only tennis, but also in island pursuits and different opportunities where you go and do all these different fun things on island. So I've met
tourism?
Yeah, kind of like we would do beach days. We would take people on surf adventures. We take people on, my buddy that lives there made a sailing canoe that looked like Moana's sailing canoe, and we take them out on the boat and sail along the Kauai coast. Like, I've done so many cool jobs where you've met so many cool people and had these experiences. And it's so funny that I've, made friends with these people that you've obviously taught tennis to or done these cool experiences with. And now they see me in TV and they're like, this is crazy. But yeah, again, I would have never seen myself in the place I am now. So I've still been taking this day by day and trying to remind myself to have fun with it. Because you do put a lot of pressure on yourself to be like, what is next? What am I doing with my life right now? But life is so short, man. And you just got to have fun, because it's crazy. I'm dancing on live TV on Tuesdays right now. That was never in my cards. So whatever happens next, I'm just going to be open to and have fun with it.
It's so nuts because it really is a 180. Now you have the love of your life and all these different opportunities.
That's crazy.
There's like Caitlin Bristow with her podcast and Nick Vial. Have you ever considered doing something like that too?
I enjoy this. I have a lot of fun on podcasts because I really love talking to people. It's always fun to talk about myself, but it's not me either. If you got to know me outside of this, you'd realize I'm usually in your position. I'm usually the one that's more inquisitive.
That's what
asking
Jenna
questions.
said.
Like, I love learning about people. I love trying to be a really great active listener and not only just listen, but try to ask different questions and maybe open up a different side about someone else. I love that about my season on The Bachelor. I think a lot of people realize that I was pretty good at that with getting these girls to open up and share more about themselves. And I think it's just because I enjoy learning about people. So an idea of a podcast was something I thought of. I just don't know what that world would be yet. And, everyone's first reaction is we don't need another podcast. It's what everyone thinks when they're like, would I do one? But I've thought about it because as you do in this, you do a lot of these random things. And it's like, I forget how much fun this is. And it'd be fun to do it on my own. I would like doing it.
Have you gone back, again, if you can't talk about it,
You good?
to the new Bachelor at all? Have they brought you in for any of that stuff?
I don't know if I can talk about that one, but I have always through this time tried to be available to Bachelor Nation because they have done so much to me. That's what I would say. I think people just saw recently I went to the Men Tell All to support Mark and to be able to see a couple of the people there. And it wasn't easy to fit that into the dancing schedule, but I found a way to do it. But yeah, I'm always available to everyone in Bachelor Nation on that side because they have done so much for me. I mean, the fact that they've helped me find Kelsey, the fact that they've opened up this new world to me of just getting opportunities like Dancing with the Stars. You can't forget where you come from. As much as you try to be like, a lot of this was maybe me and things that I've done, it's not. They gave me the platform. So I'm so grateful and always open to doing stuff like that with them.
Being grateful and all that, we see Sochi coming back. She's dancing with Val. We don't know what she's doing yet. I assume 500th episode. Could we ever see you going back to Dancing with the Stars in the future, possibly even doing the tour?
I don't know what's happening with tour yet. That's all TBD, but I would say that anything that dancing would invite me back to or let me be a part of, I would so be open to it just because I have loved this experience. So it's cool. Every week you get to see, people that were on the show in years past or pros that used to be on the show and they still come to shows. Like, if I'm going to be in LA, I would love to be a part of anything with Dancing with the Stars because it's a family. It's really, really cool to start to be a part of that. And if there's other opportunities in the future, if something comes along and it makes sense for me, I am so open to it.
Do you ever see anyone in the crowd that you get excited about at dancing?
It's so funny, but I do not focus on the crowd as much as I should because I know there's some big like A-list celebrities and people that have come to the show so far this season or people that have been on in the past, and it's like you meet some really cool people, and it always happens more in passing when you're like in the back and like getting ready. You'll see someone walk through, is like, that's really cool, that person's here, but I can't think of a name that comes in my head because I am so locked in when it comes show day that I just try as much as I can to listen to Jenna and focus on her. She might not believe that sometimes. She thinks I get so lost and so distracted, but I am trying my hardest to stay present and stay in it. The crowd, it's just this kind of background noise a lot of those days.
Are you and Kelsey staying in the trailer to try and just stay focused?
Yeah, she comes usually a little bit early. It's hard because we do so much prep for that day, whether it's hair and makeup, whether it's running through a couple of times on the show. You don't actually get the ability to have as much time as you would like getting ready before. It's kind of chaos. So there's usually a moment she'll bring anyone that's coming to visit me too, and then we'll have a moment in the trailer where we'll just be able to like hug, take some pictures, get a little bit of decompress. But you can ask them too. Kelsey's like, it's not Joey when I see him there. Like, I am blank face, blank emotions, just not really thinking of anything other than I gotta do this dance one more time and I gotta crush it, and that's all I'm focusing on. Just because it's just me. When I stay locked in, it would be the same thing before I go on a live show for The Bachelor. It's just like I get a little bit kind of no emotions. That's just how I lock in to be prepared for what's about to happen. It's just how I process it.
Even with you coming here, everybody, 30 minutes before, I just need to stare at my questions and memorize everything so I can be focused and locked in.
Yeah, everyone has their own process, and I've found out from doing this enough now that I think I'm the most focused when I'm the most quiet, just because I'm just really trying to think about everything that's going on. And it's trying to find that mix of staying that focused, but also having fun. Because sometimes I get too focused and too serious that I forget that you got to still show emotions and enjoy yourself. But it's finding that balance that can be tough.
Was there a big adjustment having this big public relationship on national TV? Now you guys get to take it private. How'd you guys find balance of like what to share online with the audience and what to keep amongst yourselves?
We're still figuring that out. And I think we've really done a great job with it for us personally. We want to share experiences. We want to do as much as we can to let people into our world, because there's a lot of people that are following us for that. They want to see how our relationship is and things that we're doing. But we also both love staying present. It's something that I've realized in social media in general, that if I do a lot with content creation, I'm not going to be the best at it, because when I am enjoying something, the last thing I do is pick up my phone. It came from being in Hawaii. I love when I am loving something so much or so into a conversation that I don't even grab it. That Kelsey and I laugh sometimes that we go on some of these trips or we go to places and we're just like, we didn't grab any content. And we laugh about it because we love that about us. But then we also have to remind ourselves this is kind of our job now too. And we have to do better at doing that because we want to do it, not because we have to, because we actually want to. And we want to open up other opportunities, and we want people to know what's going on with us too. But we'll never apologize for not showing as much of our lives, because I love that part of us too.
What brought you out to Hawaii?
My uncle lived out there, and he was the person that taught me tennis, and it just worked out perfectly that my last summer before I left college, I went to go stay with him for the whole summer in Kauai, because he was my tennis coach and he was getting me ready for my tennis season. But in that time, I started to actually make really good connections with people that were running a golf club there. And I knew the tennis pro, and the head tennis pro retired right when I was in my last year of college, and he put my name in the mix to take over his position. And it worked out that my uncle was living there. So he actually took the position and started getting things ready for me, so that when I graduated from college, I moved straight out to Hawaii, and I picked up where my uncle kind of started things, and I got to run a 4-court facility on my own and be a head tennis pro at 22 years old.
What a dream.
So it was the coolest job ever. It was such a fake it till you make it situation, but I had been teaching for quite a bit because of my uncle's past and where he worked at clubs, and it was a impossible situation to say no to. And I got to live in Hawaii and stay with my aunt and uncle, and got to get on my feet before I got my own job somewhere else and started doing it again more full time and getting the confidence to do it on my own.
And what kind of people were you teaching, like club members?
It was a mix. I was working, like I said, at a golf club. So they had locals that were living in Kauai, and we had our own local membership, but we also were connected with about 6 to 8 hotels that were right there in Princeville. So I had relationships with the concierges, and every time someone would ask for a tennis lesson, they had my club or another club that was down the street, and sometimes they would toss them to me, sometimes they tossed them to them. But after a little bit of time, I kind of got a really good situation if they knew I could teach a quality lesson, and they started coming to me, and I was as busy as I wanted to be. It was a really great job. I loved it there.
Was there anything missing from the mainland that you couldn't get in Hawaii?
Family. I love my family so much, and it was really hard for the 3.5, 4 years I lived there. I would only see my sisters, my mom, my dad once a year, if not maybe twice.
And you'd go to them?
And I'd go to them, or they would come to me, and that was if it was twice as if they would come to me. But it's a lot to ask someone from the East Coast to fly all the way out there.
10 hours, 12 hours?
Yeah, it's a 12 hours if you're lucky, because usually you have a longer connection or something. It's 12 hours in the air, so usually it takes a little bit longer. Yeah, it was always really difficult to be that far away from them. And I think one of the things we've loved about The Bachelor too is it has brought me home, and I have been able to, we've always had a great relationship, but especially with my sisters, I feel closer to them than maybe I ever have now because of all this, because it just brought us closer together. And that was always hard in Hawaii. I knew something was missing and something I couldn't figure out what it was. And I think it was just being able to see them more. I had great friends that I was missing too. But yeah, family was, I think, the toughest part.
Was there anything you really discovered about yourself out there?
to how to stay present, to let go a lot of the junk that kind of clouds your mind. Everyone on the East Coast, even the West Coast, is busy, and they are always so focused on the next thing. There's something about Kauai where people just don't let unnecessary things cloud their mind. They enjoy moments. They're not on their phone as much, but it's because there's so much beauty around them, or they're doing activities where you can't even bring it with you. But there's something about that place that I hope everyone will get a chance to experience sometime if you do it correctly, where you just let go and you just get back to reality, that you don't need to focus on all these other things all the time. Now, you lose reality if you're in Kauai for too long. Don't get me wrong. It happened to me. I've been leaving Kauai and I go on a 4-lane highway because I've only been on a one lane road for so long, and I'm having a panic attack down the highway. And I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't reality. But there is something that I've taken in my entire life that I'm so grateful for, where I can just sometimes just be able to let a lot go and realize that it's not that serious. Like, things are okay. And I think that comes from just staying immensely present and appreciating things. And that just comes from living in a spot like that.
Being out there, I remember all the locals every day coming out at sunset to watch the sun set, and even at sunrise.
Yeah. Every day when I was there, I would either surf sunset, or I'd go grab a 6-pack of beers with some friends, and we would just go watch the sunset. Your day is all about trying to make, when you work in tourism, everyone else experience so great. The only way you do that is staying present and having fun with them. Don't get me wrong, I was still on my phone. I was still doing a lot of stuff, but you're also in your own little time warp because you're a 6-hour time difference from the East Coast, a 3-hour time difference from the West Coast. And you're like, it's just different. You just feel like you're in your own little world, and it's so easy to get out of all the things that go on, whether it's news, whether it's, people divided against each other. There's just something about there when you get in the right scene and you get with the right people, you stay very present and very happy. It's an easy place to be very happy.
Even texting my family on the East Coast, that 3-hour difference is like, they're asleep. I can't send them anything now.
So hard. 6 or 5 hours is what it is from all my family and friends on the East Coast. And that was one of the reasons it was really tough to be there, because it just, you have to catch them in the beginning part of the day, or else you just didn't get them. Because as soon as it got later afternoon, they're sleeping. What's
your favorite poke spot out there?
It's a hard answer because
is it the supermarket?
The supermarket, it's the easy, quick one. You go to a food land there, amazing. There's a place on the south side, that was Poipu. I suck with names because I can't remember them. You saw that when I was talking about Netflix shows. Poipu has a little shack that's really, really good. That's kind of become bigger, but I can't remember what. I think it's Kaloa Fish Market might be what it is, but I can't even remember the name, and that's terrible because I've been there a million times. But I suck at remembering names. I'm the worst at it.
What's your favorite food spot here?
Favorite food spot here is going to keep evolving, I'm sure. I don't know. I've had so many great meals. We went to Catch Steak and Catch LA, and they were both amazing. We went to Delilah, which was awesome. Bakari's been great. I don't know. They're all so good. I haven't had one that's it yet, but I know I need to try so many more spots because it's amazing the amount of places in West Hollywood. I can't get over it. There's so many good food spots.
I really need you to try Felix.
Okay, Felix is on top of the list. I'm going to put it up there. Kelsey and I need to go someplace new. I'm putting it up there.
Can we fire through some fan questions?
Let's do it.
Who is the closest out of all the celebrities on Dancing with the Stars? Who are you the closest with?
Who am I the closest with?
Yeah.
It's kind of a double answer because I'm close to them in different ways. Danny and I connected really quickly. Danny Amendola. I think it's just being two of the guys in it. We just have always vibed and really enjoyed each other. But the biggest surprise, and I think my favorite, is Alona. I love her. She is just the best. There's something about Alona that just every time you see her, I get happy. And it's so cool to connect with someone like that who I never would have met before, So Alona and Danny are two of my favorites, but they're all great. I love Chandler. I love Steven. I love Dwight. Everyone that's still in it has been so great, and it's a really cool part of it.
With your life being pure chaos, especially after The Bachelor, did you watch the Olympics?
I tried as much as I could, but it was hard. We were traveling so much, but I remember the women rugby craze. I had to watch the women's rugby team as much as I could because I remember seeing Jason Kelsey from the Philly area posting about him, and I was like, who is this Alona girl? And I remember all of that and catching up more on social media than actually watching it live. I don't know how you missed Steven's thing. That was the craziest thing ever. Gymnastics this year seemed so big, especially because the men's team did so well. I do remember watching moments of that. And I love basketball, so I tried to watch little things of that. But yeah, I didn't watch it as much as I would have loved to.
Once you're done with The Bachelor, are you being pulled in every single direction?
It's not really from The Bachelor. It actually came more from Kelsey and I just having a really great season and having this eventful, I think, following that came along with us. There were just a lot of opportunities that were sent our way. We
like
just got
podcasts, Good Morning America.
We just started getting a lot of press stuff, and then we got invited to a lot of different events where maybe a brand would invite you out to go do something. And we just had this mindset for these 3 months because we thought Dancing with the Stars was an opportunity. We didn't know officially yet, but we were just like, let's have fun. Like, let's just go do as much as we can and travel around, because why not? When are we going to get this opportunity again? And we just had a really big craze during that time where we're still getting the opportunity that we could go to other places, but we can't right now because I'm here. Kelsey's still traveling a lot more than I am. But yeah, it's just random stuff. You never really know what's going to be. It could be a podcast. It could be a brand opportunity. But there was a lot of opportunities. So we were just saying yes to a lot.
What's the first moment that comes to mind of like, I can't believe that happened?
It's a good question because there was a million. One of the coolest things that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the opportunity with The Bachelor, because this is something I geeked out over more than Kelsey did, but it was an early on moment where I was like, oh, this is unbelievable, was I got invited to go to the Masters. I got to go to the Masters through Jay Lindbergh, and they were amazing. They set us up in this house. We got to meet some other great other people that were there. I met Victor Cruz, my friend Tim and Margot, and like other people we got to meet there. It was so sick because we got to have this house experience, and then we got to go to the Masters, one of the hardest sporting events ever to go to. And Kelsey didn't understand. I was like, you don't understand how hard it is to get tickets to this thing, and this is going to be your first golf experience ever. And anytime I bring you to another golf event, you're going to be like, this is all right, because this was the Mecca. You know, you get the pimento cheese, you get the cold beer, you're walking down this beautiful place in Augusta, and I was just, pinch me moment. And I knew that only came because of the opportunity with The Bachelor, and that was like unreal.
Crazy.
Unreal.
I'd bring my wife to like emo concerts. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, this is a big deal right now.
Big deal.
They're headlining. There's 4,000 people here.
Hey, you never know. Everyone's got their own big deal, what it is. And it's more, that feeling is so fun when you're just sitting there and you're like, this is unbelievable. How am I here right now?
How scary has it been dancing live every night? And do you mess up and the judges don't? Oh.
You already asked someone, but I will say the scary is it's still there every week. I still get those butterflies. It just is a more of an understanding feeling now. Like, you know, when you have a feeling enough times, you're like, I know what this is. I'm not as scared of what that feeling is, but even Jenna, she still gets butterflies. Like, it's just a crazy thing. You have this minute and 30 seconds to do everything you possibly can, and the pressure of that brings this different energy that just is like, ooh, this is a lot.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
You're in the final four. What do you think your nerves are going to be like that day?
Knock on every wood possible, because I hope I'm going to be in that final four. I would be so grateful if that's the case. I'm not expecting anything, but I'm hopeful. I am going to be so nervous in the finale. I know it, just because there's a different nerve, I think, that comes knowing it's your last. You know, like every time you do a dance, you hope it's not your last, right? You do this dance, you're like, I just hope I get another chance. Even if I didn't do as well as I could, I hope they vote me back to be able to go again. But that freestyle and that finale, you know, if you're in it, like, this is your last time you get to do this on this dance floor. You most likely will never be on this ballroom floor again. And I think there's going to be a lot of emotions. I think I'm going to be nervous. I think I'm going to be really sad if I'm in that position. I just think there's just going to be, it's going to take over. Like, it's going to really feel like that was everything coming together, and I'm so excited, and I hope I get that feeling, but I'm also petrified of it, if I'm being honest.
What I love about this competition is that it is a competition, but you're only focused on yourself.
It's all you can control.
You don't even worry about the other three people.
You do. It's hard not to focus on everyone else that's still in it, because you know that you're being compared to them, right? So it's hard not to think about it, but you have to remind yourself that has nothing to do with you. You get compared to it because everyone else is voting and they're like, who do I like more type thing. But all you can control is what you put out there. And Jenna and I remind ourselves of that all the time, because the natural human emotion is to sometimes think about what everyone's doing. Like, oh man, they're doing an Argentine tango this week. I bet you they're going to have these crazy tricks. But I can't control what they're doing. I can't control if they hit those tricks and hit the moment and look sharp in their dance. All I can control is in our dance, we have to do everything possible to make it special because that's the only thing that we can control at the end of the day.
Have you seen a finale of Dancing with the Stars?
I hope this doesn't get some negativity against me. It's a no. I have not ever actually really watched the show the whole way through. I picked up last season right around, I think, where we are now. I think I watched 2 episodes, but I couldn't watch one because I was out of town for one of them. I wish I watched the finale because it was really fun to watch that season. But my mom used to watch the show when I was younger, but I never remember watching an actual finale episode. So it's going to be weird that the first one is the one I'm a part of.
And all of these different... Because it's
hopefully,
so new.
I gotta keep saying hopefully. Like I don't know if I'm gonna be there. That's just the hope. Is I hope I get to be there. Vote Joey, please.
How did you, or how will you celebrate 1 year anniversary with Kelsey? Not sure when this will be recorded.
So this is crazy, actually. Our 1 year anniversary is in this next show. Isn't that crazy? It's already here.
On
this
the 500th?
500th episode is our 1 year anniversary. So we are not going to have the usual experience because I'm going to be gone majority of the day. And I love her so much for continuing to support. And it's tough when moments like that happen where you want to make this all about her and us, but she knows this is something that's big for me too. So yeah, it's crazy that our exact 1 year anniversary is on the 12th of November. And that is going to be the 500th episode. So we'll definitely do something special, just us two after the show, which I'm excited for. But yeah, our celebration will be at Dancing with the Stars.
If it's a last minute thing, have you been to Salt and Straw?
I have not. No.
Oh, okay. So good.
Okay, I'll put it on the list.
The best ice cream.
We have plans. I think she wanted to go to a certain spot, and I'll hold on to where that spot is. But if something's up, I'll Salt and Straw or
Back
Felix
pocket.
sounds like the ones to be looking for.
Well, I'm so excited for this 500th episode.
It's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be something people haven't seen before with a lot of the parts of it. And I just know that everyone's going to smash their dances this week. There's just everyone left is so in it and so good. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting to see what comes next. And like I said, I hope I get to keep moving forward through this. And if I can, I'm going to keep giving it my all.
Thank you so much for making the time, coming by. Guys, vote for Joey every week. 2 more weeks.
Please, 2 more weeks. Appreciate you, man.
Lightweights out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, of course.